Then this 1981 Explorer showed up. $2,500 for one of these. That's a good price. Welcome back, troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. We're missing a knob here. It looks like somebody had a Bigsby on this at one point in time, which means that's not stock. So I continued going through these photos, saw some belt buckle rash. It's got a newer case. Ooh, we got the headstock break right there. A little bit of a shame, but it looks like they did some sort of maybe a dowel repair. They've got something going through the headstock to keep it secure. And that's not just a missing knob, that's a broken shaft. So there's supposed to be another semicircle on the other side that has a split in between it. I mean, heck, we're even missing an inlay. That's easy enough to replace, but it will look out of place because all the other ones will have a certain patina. Do you really need the 3rd fret marker? But then I started getting to the end of these photos. It's like, oh, a crack on the body that had to be repaired. And then I saw it. Oh, it hasn't been repaired. It's been repaired, but they're missing a chunk out of the body. What happened to this thing? And then all the wear on the neck. This is a beautiful Road Warrior, but the fact that you actually have a portion of the body missing, at this point you might as well turn it into the Clapton cut, because that just looks a bit janky, but at the same time I guess it's kind of cool too. Speaking of vintage guitars at attractive price points, this one came from Chicago Music Exchange, a 1965 legitimate SG standard for only $26.20. Heck, you can't even buy a brand new Les Paul standard for that much, and you get a vintage SG in black? Now, obviously, it's gonna have some issues, but it looks pretty darn good for what it is at that price. So I think it's pretty obvious the black is a refin job. It's got some damage to it. We definitely have some sort of a replaced pickup rings that look way too large for this. Probably modernized hardware, some weird hex nut on this. And our binding has been messed with. But then we get to our headstock, it's like, ooh. It looks strangely large for this era. And then you flip it over to the back, yep, then we see another headstock crack. So there's a lot of issues with this guitar, but it's been played, and apparently somebody likes playing it. But cool enough, it actually comes with one of the newer SG custom shop cases. But let's see what they have to say. So repaired output jack, rerouted pickup cavities. Did it start life as a standard? They reshaped the neck during the refinish process. They removed the binding. That's what that is. You still see it at the bottom, but I just thought maybe they put black on there. It just seems like this is kind of a basket case, but that is pretty cheap for a 65 SG. Almost 3 times the price you could get a special. You have to pay 10 times the price to get a Pelham Blue one. Being offered by Rumble Seat Music was this absolutely gorgeous 1959 Gibson ES-5 Switchmaster in a blonde finish. As you can see, it's already gone, so somebody bought it on their website, and I do not blame them. This has a whole vibe to it. This instrument has seen countless shows, probably with an original owner since brand new, so it would have a lot of tales to tell, but the whole ES-5 Switchmaster is kind of an interesting guitar to begin with, because they have independent volume and tone controls for each of these, on top of their weird pickup selector system. 1, 2, 3, and all. But to get one in a natural finish that's all beautifully figured like this one, even a headstock stinger on this one. You can see the Grover Imperial tuners, 3-piece neck. Next up, a beautiful offering in Thailand by Fusion Music. This is a Spotlight Special. It's got the pinstripey but wide flame, and then it's got all the vertical wood grain. It's everything I like about these antique natural Spotlight Specials. So it's like, yep, let's buy it. And then I looked at the price, $8,000. Okay, it could be worth it if it was mint condition. But looking at this, it appears to have been played quite a bit. A lot of the gold has been worn off. You still miraculously have the Tim Shaw PAF stickers. It looks like that one's kind of worn. And these natural sunlight shots, they're great. They show off the flame top to the best of its ability, but then this photo shows you what it looks like in person, you know, in regular lighting, and it still looked fantastic. But the headstock tells us this was number 193. It even still has the original pickguard that came in the case and some of the paperwork. Someone refretted it, which is a big dilemma for me because natural Spotlight Specials have the multicolored binding, which gives them a very unique fret nib, and whenever you refret a Gibson, generally you're going to lose your fret nibs unless you pay a huge premium to keep them. Even then, it's not even guaranteed that all of them will survive. Continuing on with beaten, broken, battered, abused guitars, this was an SG Celebrity. Those are really cool guitars. They look like this. Are you enjoying what you see on the screen? Now look at this one. They ruined it. They just like, hey, you know what makes this guitar cool? Let's black it out. That's unfortunate. those are collectible guitars, but this one, it's in player's grade shape now. It's definitely seen better days. Looks like we've got another CME listing here. They must have just got back from a guitar show. This is a 56 Les Paul gold top, but instead of being a gold top, it's like a root beer burst with a quilt top to it. 56 reissue. That's pretty nice looking because it's like the same color as the mahogany on the back. So I thought that was notable of sharing. Apparently it was a made-to-measure custom order in root beer. $4,500. I could see somebody paying that. Another cool one from CME was this 61 reissue from 2008. So you always know you're dealing with like a late 2000s, early 2010s 61 reissue SG. Just by looking at the headstock, they're obnoxiously big and pointy, like pointy in these areas. But I like this one for the wood grain patterns. It's just quite nice. And then you notice, is that a clear pick guard? No, that's just pickguard screws in the top. It's an acquired taste, but instead of having the holes, they decided, let's just put the screws back in it. I don't want the pickguard covering up all this beautifulness. And it kind of works. It's kind of cool. Next up here, a couple of these SG Raw Powers have been showing up. So it makes this run interesting. They also had Les Paul variances. They have the maple fretboard and I believe maple bodies on top of it. And they came in a few different finishes, so I've been kind of looking out for the right one that I want to document. I really like their 12th fret inlay being the trapezoid, whereas everything else is still the dots. Doesn't make much sense, but they're kind of cool guitars, all satin finished. Problem is, a lot of these get headstock repairs and other various damages because people like these things. They play great, as evidenced by the wear and tear on this fretboard. Next up, we have this limited edition classic antique. So what makes a classic antique? Well, in my opinion, it's the headstock binding. Certain classics look good with it, but this one, I don't know, it's just like a brown mahogany top guitar, which makes it cool in its own right. I really, really like the guitar of the week. It's a chambered out mahogany top one. It has like a dark burst finish on it. Those things are very good guitars. But this just had a pretty interesting vibe, so I thought I'd share it with you guys. You even get a little bit of a figuring within the body. Another one for our beautiful guitars showing up. This is a new old stock 1988 Showcase Edition. This was tempting. The problem is the showcase editions, they're collectible only if they're in mint condition, because most Gibson guys, they hate active electronics in their guitars. So a limited edition that came stock with EMGs, most of them, there were a few within this run that were spared active electronics. It just makes these not all that desirable when they're in player's grade shape. So finding one in supposedly new old stock condition was interesting to me, because the logo, it's still all white, but the guitar is still a creamed over white appearance. So that means these didn't actually start pure white. They had a yellow tint to it from the factory, apparently. If anybody was around when these things were first introduced, please do back that story up. I was tempted to pick this up because his asking price of $4,200 from a well-known dealer with original shipping carton and all that, it's fair for that model. And the last interesting guitar for us to look at today is this. Who wouldn't want to refinish their RD Custom in a purple burst finish? I would say it turned out okay. Like, you got the maple fretboard, the zebra bobbin pickups all blacked out, an actual burst shape on here. But something about this finish just, it doesn't seem like it was done the best. Like, sometimes you look at a refin and go, that's not going to feel like a factory finish. Now, I could be wrong, because some angles it looks better than others. At least they left the neck alone, so the feel will be right. But this is an old refinish, so it must be halfway decent. You can see they had a star sticker on here, so that's what the original paint looked like. And it's just kind of faded into this purple hue. It's kind of a cool guitar. Made in 1977. But unfortunately no hard case, and they want $3,200. Yeah, that one just, it doesn't make sense to buy when you can get an original one with a case, let alone the original case, for significantly less. Like, even with original paperwork, this is actually a really good deal. What's wrong with it? I'm not sure. I mean, it's got some wear and tear. Beautiful figured neck. Yeah, that's a deal. All right, troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed taking a look at some of these finds. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.